He left her. For 10 long years. No letters. No goodbye. Just silence. But every single day, she kept the door unlocked, waiting, hoping, believing he would come back. And when he finally did, dust on his boots, regret in his chest, he expected anger. Instead, she said something that shattered him completely. Now the real question is, why did she wait? And what did he discover? The moment he stepped inside, that changed him forever. Stay with me, 'cause this is not just a love story. It is about the kind of love that refuses to give up, even when everything else does. Before we dive into the incredible story, do not forget to like, subscribe and hit the bell button so you never miss our powerful, life-changing content. Thank you for listening to this heartfelt story. If it moved you, share it, comments below, and let someone know you are never alone. The wind tasted like dust and memory. As I stood before her door, old wood, faded paint, a porch that remembered my footsteps, my hand trembled, not from the cold, but from 10 years of silence. I counted every regret. In the space between breaths, the frontier stretched behind me, endless, forgiving, yet never enough to bury her name. Lily. It lived in the wind, in the creak of saddle leather. In every lonely sunrise I survived without her. I raised my hand, paused, felt my chest tighten, as if the past had fingers, and refused to let me move forward. Then I knocked, soft at first, then again, stronger. The sound cracked through me, like thunder across open plains. Footsteps, inside, low, steady, unmistakable. My heartbeat stumbled. The door opened. Light spilled out, warm, golden, and changed. And there she stood, Lily. Her eyes found mine, as if no time had passed, as if 10 years had folded into a single breath. I felt it then. Sharp, unexpected, almost unbearable. She wore the same softness, the same quiet strength, but deeper now, rooted like the land itself. I knew you would come back. Her voice, gentle, certain. No anger, no distance, only truth. The weight inside me broke open. I left with nothing but pride, my voice rough, foreign to my own ears. And I carried it, until it became emptiness. She stepped closer, close enough that I could feel her warmth, close enough that the world behind me disappeared. I waited. 2 words, simple, impossible. The air shifted, the years collapsed. Every lonely mile, every aching night, every silent apology, all of it led here, to this moment, to her. I reached forward, slowly, as if afraid she might vanish. But she remained, real, steady, unshaken. Her hand met mine, and in that touch, I felt forgiveness, patience, a love that had endured storms I never saw. The wind stilled, the world held its breath, and something inside me finally understood. I never lost her. I only lost my way. And she had been standing here, every single day, waiting, not with doubt, but with a quiet faith, strong enough to outlast time. Her fingers tightened around mine, and I stepped closer, into the life I almost abandoned, into the love that never abandoned me. The door still open behind her, light spilling across the worn wood floor, inviting me further inside. The warmth brushed against my face, something that asked, without words, whether I had the courage. Her question lingered, unspoken, yet louder than anything I had ever heard. Such a simple word, yet it pressed against my chest, like a test I had spent years avoiding. My breath slowed, uneven, as if learning again how to belong to a place. To her. Outside the wind shifted, dragging dust across the porch, a restless echo of the man I had been. I felt it pulling at me, the old instinct, to move, to run, to disappear before I could fail again. My fingers curled slightly, still holding hers, still anchored. I am afraid. The admission came quietly, but it cracked something open inside me. Her eyes softened, not with pity, but with recognition. Good. The word startled me. She stepped closer, closing the last inch of distance between us. Fear means you finally understand what matters. Her voice held no hesitation, only truth. It settled into me, heavy and grounding. For years, I had mistaken distance for strength, silence for control, loneliness for freedom. Standing here, with her warmth against my skin, those illusions fell away, leaving something raw and real. My chest tightened again, not from regret this time, from the weight of choice, a choice I could no longer delay. I looked around the room, at the life she had protected, quietly, faithfully, at the space that still had room for me. If I dared to take it, I do not know how to stay. My voice rough, honest. Her hand slipped from my cheek, down to my chest, resting over the unsteady rhythm beneath. You start here. 2 words, simple, but they struck deeper than anything else. Start, not prove, not fix, not erase the past, just begin. The idea unsettled me, because it asked for something harder than running. It asked for presence, for patience, for trust. My heartbeat thudded under her palm, loud, imperfect, real, and for the first time, I did not try to steady it, did not try to hide it. I let her feel it, every doubt, every fear, every fragile piece of hope I barely understood. Her fingers pressed slightly, as if acknowledging all of it. I never needed you to be perfect, Ethan. Her voice barely above a whisper. I needed you to be here. The words landed slowly, each one breaking down another wall I had built. I exhaled, long, shaking. The air felt different now. Not heavy, not suffocating, but full of possibility, of risk, of something I could still lose. And that made it matter more. Outside the light shifted, late afternoon stretching into something softer, golden, quiet, unfolding. Time was moving, whether I chose it or not. My grip on her hand tightened, not out of fear, but intention. Small step, barely noticeable, yet everything in me recognized it. I was choosing, not the road behind me, not the safety of distance, but this, the life waiting just beyond the edge of my doubt. Still uncertain, still fragile, still demanding more than I knew how to give. And yet, I did not pull away. Her eyes searched mine again, not for answers, but for truth. And I felt it rising, slowly, steadily, something I had avoided for years, something that required more courage than leaving ever had. My lips parted, the words forming, hesitant, unsteady, carrying the weight of everything I had been, and everything I was trying to become. As the silence between us deepened, not empty, but waiting, for what I would finally dare to say. I am here. The words left me, quiet, but steady. They hung between us, fragile, yet unbreakable in their truth. Lily's breath caught, just slightly, not surprise, relief. A softness passed through her eyes, like a long-held weight finally easing. Phil, she said nothing, and that silence, asked for more, not promises, not perfection, something deeper, something proven. My chest rose, fell. I felt the old reflex stir again, the urge to explain, to justify the years I had wasted. But the words felt hollow, unnecessary. She had never asked for reasons, only presence. So I stayed quiet, let the moment stretch, let it test me. Her hand slid from my chest, down into mine again, fingers weaving slowly, intentionally, as if relearning something sacred. The contact grounded me, kept me from drifting into the past. You always spoke when you were unsure. Her voice gentle, And you always left before you were understood. The truth of it landed hard. Not sharp, but deep. I nodded slightly. I thought leaving made things easier. Pause. The air shifted again. I see now. It only made everything heavier. She studied me, not searching for flaws, but for change. Real change. The kind that could stand the weight of time. Outside, a distant sound carried on the wind. A loose shutter tapping softly. Rhythmic. Persistent. It pulled at my senses. Reminder. That not everything stayed still. That even this moment, as strong as it felt, could slip if I let it. My grip tightened slightly around her hand. Not to hold her in place, but to hold myself here. I walked miles trying to outrun what I felt. My voice steadier now. I buried it under work, under distance, under pride. Each word felt like shedding something heavy. And it followed me anyway. Her fingers shifted in mine. Quiet acknowledgement. Not surprise. Never surprise. I never ran. Her voice soft, but firm. I stayed and faced it every day. The difference between us stood clear. Not as judgment, but as truth. She had endured. I had avoided. And somehow, she stood stronger for it. The realization stirred something uncomfortable. A pressure in my chest. Not guilt. Something sharper. Respect. Mixed with the fear that I might never reach her level of strength. I do not know if I can carry it the way you did. Honest. Unfiltered. Her head tilted slightly. A faint smile touching her lips. You are not meant to carry it the same way. Pause. You are meant to carry it with me. The words shifted everything. Not alone. Never alone. The idea settled slowly. Strange, yet steadying. For years, everything had been weight. Something to bear. Something to survive. Felt shared. Balanced. Possible. My shoulders eased. Just slightly. A tension I had forgotten I carried beginning to loosen. Her thumb brushed lightly against my hand. Back and forth. Small motion. But it anchored me deeper into the moment. You are still afraid. Not a question. Knowing. I let out a breath. Yes, she nodded. As if that answer mattered more than anything else. Good. Again. That word. But this time, it did not unsettle me. It steadied me. Because fear no longer felt like a sign to leave. Felt like a reason to stay. The room seemed quieter now. Not empty, but settled. As if it had been waiting for this shift. For this fragile alignment between us. Her hand loosened slightly. Not pulling away, but allowing space. An unspoken choice. Always a choice. And I felt it again. That edge. That moment where I could step forward. Or retreat into everything familiar. My heart beat louder. Not frantic. Focused. Present. I took a small step closer. Closing a distance that no longer felt safe to keep. Her eyes lifted to meet mine. Steady. Open. Waiting. And something inside me rose again. Not fear this time. Something stronger. Something that had been buried under years of silence. Now pushing forward. Demanding to be seen. Demanding to be spoken. My breath caught. The words forming again. Heavier now. Truer. Carrying more than just return. Carrying intention. Commitment. Something that could no longer be taken back. The silence deepened around us. Holding space. As I stood there. On the edge of saying it. Feeling the weight of everything it would change. As the last light of day slipped through the window. And settled across her face. Waiting for me to cross that final distance. And prove that I was no longer the man who walked away. The light rested on her face. Soft. Golden. As if time itself had chosen her side. My breath slowed. Then deepened. No more running. No more distance to hide behind. I love you. The words came low. Steady. Carrying every mile I had walked without her. They did not tremble. They landed. Real. Undeniable. Her eyes closed for a moment. not to escape, to feel it, to measure it against the years of silence. When she opened them again, there was something new, not doubt, not relief alone, certainty. You always did, her voice quiet, but now you finally know it. The truth of that settled deep. For so long, I had mistaken love for something fragile, something that could be set aside, returned to later. But it had stayed, unmoved, waiting, just like her. My chest tightened again, but this time, it expanded with it, as if something inside me had been unlocked. I do not want to lose this again. The admission came without hesitation. Her gaze held mine. Steady. You will not. If you stop leaving before things become hard. Pause. Not harsh, just honest. I nodded, feeling the weight of that promise. Not spoken yet, but forming. Between us, the wind outside picked up again, brushing against the walls. A low hum, constant, alive. It no longer called to me. It no longer felt like escape. Felt distant, unimportant, compared to this. To her. Her hand slipped from mine, only to rise again, resting lightly against my chest, over my heart. You feel different. Her fingers pressed gently, as if reading something beneath the surface. I am trying to be. Answered. No certainty. Only effort. Only truth. Her lips curved slightly. Not a full smile. Something quieter. Stronger. Trying is where it begins. The word stayed with me, settling deeper than anything else. Because for the first time, I believed that beginning was enough. That I did not need to be finished, to be worthy of staying. The room seemed warmer now. Or maybe it was just me, finally allowing myself to feel it. Every second stretched, not with tension, but with meaning. I became aware of everything. The faint crackle from the stove, the soft shift of her breath, the steady rhythm beneath my ribs. All of it real, all of it present, and still, there was that edge, that quiet pressure building again. Not fear, not doubt, something else, something that asked for more than words. My gaze drifted briefly to the doorway behind her, still open, still inviting, a life waiting, unwritten, uncertain, demanding. I stepped forward again, closing the last space between us. Close enough that hesitation no longer had room to exist. Her breath brushed against my lips, warm, steady, real, and in that closeness, I felt it clearly, a shift, the moment where love stopped being memory and became choice. Her fingers curled slightly into my shirt, holding, not tightly, but intentionally, grounding us both. You are still thinking about leaving. Her voice barely above a whisper, not accusing, just seeing. Froze, just for a second, 'cause she was right, not in action, but in instinct. That old part of me still lingered, still searching for an exit, even here, even now. I feel it, I admitted, the honesty sharp, but I am still here. Her eyes searched mine, deep, unwavering, as if weighing not the words, but the space behind them, and the silence returned, thicker now, full, testing, waiting, not for perfection, but for proof, real proof, the kind that does not fade when the moment softens, the kind that remains when the world grows quiet again. Her hand slid slowly down, from my chest, to my wrist, fingers resting over my pulse, feeling it, measuring it, and I stood there, not pulling away, not stepping back, letting her feel everything, the fear, the effort, the fragile strength forming beneath it all. As the last light faded further, and the room slipped into something deeper, something more intimate, something that would reveal whether I had truly changed, or whether I was only standing still, for just long enough, before the instinct to run returned again. The shadows deepened, soft, gentle, wrapping the room in quiet truth. Her fingers still rested on my wrist, feeling my pulse, waiting, not for words, for certainty. Felt it then, clearer than ever before. That old instinct, to run, to protect myself from failure, it rose once more, familiar, persistent, and for the first time, faced it, fully. I did not turn away. I did not justify it. I let it exist, and then, I let it pass. My hand lifted slowly, covering hers, holding it in place, not out of fear, choice. I am staying. The words came steady, grounded, final. No hesitation, no escape hidden inside them, just truth. Her breath softened, quiet release, not dramatic, but deep. Years of waiting, of believing, of holding space for something unseen, settling into this moment. Her forehead leaned gently against mine, a simple touch, yet it carried more meaning than all the miles I had traveled. The world outside faded, the wind, the distance, passed. All of it lost its hold, because I was no longer standing between leaving and staying. I had chosen, and in that choice, something shifted, not just in her, me. The restless weight I carried for years, finally loosened, not gone, was shared, and that made it lighter, bearable, real. We stood there in silence, not empty, but full, of everything we had been, and everything we were becoming. I do not need perfect, she whispered. I need real and present. I nodded softly, understanding now, in a way I never had before. Love was never about grand promises, or running far enough to prove something. It was about staying, through discomfort, through fear, through the quiet moments where leaving feels easier. It was about choosing the same person, again and again, even when it felt hard, especially then. I tightened my hold on her hand, small gesture, but one I knew I would repeat, every day, not out of obligation, but intention. The light had faded completely now, leaving only warmth between us, and a future, still uncertain, still demanding, but no longer frightening, because I would face it here, with her, not ahead, not behind, together. And in that quiet understanding, a simple truth settled deep within me, that love does not ask for perfection, it asks for presence, and those who stay, with open hearts, through every storm and every silence, become the reason someone else finally believes that waiting was never in vain.